Morning, guys. Raptor Freak Alexios here with a really important clip for today. Going over yesterday's Toronto Raptor Media Day for 2021, the 2022 season, and it was really enlightening. A lot of what was said yesterday reinforced a lot of things I've been saying in the last week or so on this channel. Very interesting stuff. I'm just going to kind of go down each interview as I saw him yesterday. First, there was a Masai Ujiri interview with Matt Galloway on CBC on the radio. And in that interview, Masai basically said that the Raptors are number one in the league overall in the vaccine standings. Like, all right, these SI power rankings, ESPN, all these preseason power rankings for the team, we're way down there. We're like 19 or whatever they're putting us at right now. But at least in the vaccine power rankings, Toronto's number one, baby. Masai said that, literally said that yesterday, that if when it comes to the vaccine thing, Toronto is the number one franchise in the league, meaning that we have close to 100% vaccinated players. And actually, I heard from the City TV report last night with Lindsey Dunn that it was basically just there's one player that needs to get a second dose in the next couple of days, and then everything's good. We're good. And it was echoed a little bit throughout the day. The whole question is, well, why aren't the Raptors being more forthcoming with this information if there's no problem on the team? Well, a lot of it has to do with that Hippocratic or that HIPAA thing they're talking about, that Privacy Act with the players and the union and stuff. They don't really need to talk about it because legally they shouldn't have to, because it's a private concern of health with the players and their medical situation. So a way to get around it is just to say no comment or just not talk about it. And I really like that the Raptors as a whole, whether it was Masai, Bobby, Fred VanVleet, whoever yesterday, they were all like, no, we're not going to wade into this subject and get into this political hot button topic right now. It's just smart PR to just stay out of that. But to me, they don't care because their team's fine. So there's no reason to put out a press release or say anything about it. We all know now because they said it yesterday. So Masai basically said that we're pretty much all vaccinated. We're number one in the league for that. And that we're building to win a championship. That's what he said. Okay, Bobby Webster. Bobby Webster talked a bit about the vaccine stuff as well, and also about the goals for the team this year. And this is the same thing. This is the thing I want to get across to people. Just because Sports Illustrated, ESPN, the NBA media, all this kind of stuff are trying to make a whole picture of like rankings and how the teams are from what they think, doesn't mean it's accurate or even based in reality and how basketball works. The way basketball works is you have to build the team right for it to work. Like you can build a team with a lot of talent like Brooklyn or like the Lakers and stuff like that and hope it works. But you can also build a team the right way and not with all the superstars and stuff like that. And it'll work even better because the foundation's stronger. This gets back to my whole video about the iceberg and the Eastern Conference and how the icebergs have different cracks in different areas of organizations and stuff. Well, the Raptors just don't have those cracks in the foundation, and we're set up. We're set up in all kinds of different ways. The more and more I think about it, the more I think we're set up to actually even maybe win the NBA championship this year. I mean, people think I'm crazy, but we were champions in 2019 when nobody thought there was a chance that could happen then. So this could be a very similar situation this year, that we come up out of nowhere and win a championship this year. It could happen. Like seriously, I'm going to tell you why, because of what Nick Nurse said yesterday. I'm going to tell you exactly why. This is what Nick Nurse said. First of all, Nick Nurse in his interview was giddy. He was absolutely giddy. And he was like smiling ear to ear. He was just so happy. Like you can tell he's like a kid who just had Christmas and he got some new toys. And he's like excited about playing and creating with them and stuff like that. That's what's going on with him right now. And he didn't mince words. Like I love that about Nick. He'll answer your questions straight up and he'll tell you the truth. A lot of coaches can be like Belichick, and they're kind of all over the place. Or Popovich. Popovich is another one. He does not cooperate with the media and tell them what they want to know. But Nick just straight up does. Somebody straight up asked him, what's Scotty's role going to be this year? And he said it's going to be huge. Huge right from the start. And basically what he said is, as long as he's playing defense and he's rebounding and his energy's out there, he's going to be out on the floor a lot for us this year. So I don't know if he's going to start, but Scotty Barnes is going to be in the rotation, and he's going to be getting major minutes in the games because Nick already sees him like that, and he sees him as another OG, like another OG level defender. And he's, like I said, he's licking his chops about the possibilities with this team this year. You can tell he's just whoa. And there were a lot of interesting things he said. Like, all right, he was talking about Trevor Gleeson, the new coach. Somebody asked about what this new coach is going to be like from Australia, and I love it. I didn't even know this about it. Nick said something like, well, Trevor's won 5 out of the last 7 Australian championships in their basketball league there. I mean, he's a winner. This is the thing. We build around winners. Not only do we build around guys who get counted out and have something to prove and make something of themselves, we build around winners, guys that are proven winners. Like Fred and Pascal became winners. Chris Boucher is a winner. He's won at Golden State and with Toronto, and he was huge on 905. Scotty Barnes is a winner. He wants to win. Trevor Gleeson is a winning coach, a proven winning coach in Australia. He's won championships there. What do you think was going to happen? He's going to come here and he's going to show us some flex offenses from Australia, try some new stuff. And, he knows how to win. This is the thing. It's all about winning. It's all about championships, being champions. The whole organization's on the same page. They're not thinking the way that the media is thinking. Like, oh, they're just supposed to be a bad team or they're going to be a bad team. They're not thinking that way. They're thinking from potential. They're thinking from where they're going to go from here. Because right now they're in a great place. We're at a great starting place. Guys are healthy. Guys are happy. This is another hidden perk and advantage the Raptors have this year. We didn't make the playoffs last year. This was a really long season last year. It went into almost August. I mean, when did the Bucks get the championship? They got it in July or almost August, something like that. The Raptors missing the playoffs is going to be a huge advantage in some ways because these guys have got an actual off season. They got to rest. Meanwhile, guys are playing late in playoffs, and then for most of the NBA teams, they're top. And then the Olympics on top of that, guys had to go play in the Olympics and stuff like that. So there's going to be a certain amount of tired on other teams like Milwaukee. That the Raptors are completely fresh. These guys came in and they look like $1 million. They look like they're ready to go out there and take on the world or the Monstars or something like that. They're ready. They're ready. So Nick Nurse said that, and Scotty Barnes is going to have a huge role. This is another thing that Nick Nurse said, and this is the key to how we're going to win a championship this year, if we're going to. Nick Nurse is a flexible coach. He's not rigid like Casey used to be. Casey had his set way. He wouldn't change in the middle of the game. He wasn't good at changing on the fly. Nick Nurse, though, this is what he's doing. And this is why it's so good that a guy like Scotty Barnes came to Toronto, is he's going to see these guys in practice. He's going to understand them raw, like what their natural inclinations are and what they like to do or gravitate towards naturally or are naturally really good at. And he's going to implement that in an offensive scheme that really benefits them. He's not going to look at them and say, oh, Scotty's really good at doing this move and say, forget about it. Well, I want to do this. And we're doing this. He's going to see that move and he's going to try and implement it. He's going to be flexible like that. He's going to change the offense a lot this year to cater to what he discovers about Scotty Barnes, Delano Banton, Precious Achiuwa as they go along. Whether there's a wrinkle synergy between them and another player, or whether it's just them discovering their offensive skills as young players, they're going to get the opportunity to succeed and showcase those tools in a way that's free. Because a guy like Khem Birch, you can ask him. He played for Orlando. He was shackled with his offensive freedom and what he could do in his game. And he got freed when he came to play for us last year. And he talked about how he enjoyed that he was able to do more on the court that he wasn't allowed to do in Orlando. We're not a team that limits our guys. We want our guys to expand and get better and better, and we don't force them to expand in the way that we want them to. We look at how they expand and we build our offense around that. That's why this team's going to be a different team on offense this year, because having guys like Scotty and Precious and Delano involved all of a sudden, it's going to make the team have new wrinkles and new kinds of offenses that they have no idea what's going to happen. Like Nick Nurse has no idea what he's going to see from Precious Achiuwa in practice this year or Scotty Barnes this year, and how he's going to adjust his offensive scheme like on the fly from game to game. He's going to try stuff. If it doesn't work, he's going to stop doing it. If it works, he's going to add it to the pile of things that are working. That is amazing, and that is awesome. And the players love that because they get the freedom to try things that they may not have had the freedom to try under other coaches. So that's really why there's such a big unknown about how good we're going to be, is because it really is on the potential of these guys and how quick they get better. Because like if Precious Achiuwa, like by April, if Precious Achiuwa is a certain level and Scotty Barnes is a certain level and we're a playoff team, and like Fred says, when you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. That's true. Once you get your foot in the door and you put us in a 7-game series with any team, I'm going to put money on us to get 4 of those wins, because that's the way we think. And that's the way we work, is to win. And that's all these guys want to do this year, is win. You heard it over and over again from different people interviewed yesterday on Media Day, whether it was the GM, whether it was the coach, whether it was a new player, whether it was a player who'd been on the team, the word winning. We're here to win. This is why they're here. They're not here for themselves, for their own ego. And you can see it in every one of their answers. You know, Pascal was very guarded in some of the things he said about being the man and stuff like that. He said that I'm going to do what's best for my team. If that means me taking a lot of shots and scoring a lot, I'm going to do that. But if it doesn't mean that, and I have to do more on defense or rebounding, then he'll do that. That's the thing. These versatile guys don't have an ego to get to a certain amount of points that they got to score every night. Yes, somebody's going to have to score points and somebody's going to have to produce. But none of them are coming in there with preconceived notions of that. I have to get this. I have to get this. Like in other teams, that's common. In the NBA, it's common on most teams. But to have that on your own team where there's no ego of self and it's us first is huge, because the NBA has not been that way for a while. Most teams are not like that. There's always an ego at top that kind of directs things and screws up that mentality, that bubble of us. And Kyle left. Kyle kept that bubble while he was here. And the new leaders coming up, Fred, well, I want to talk about this in a sec. Fred and Pascal, they're not going to bust that bubble with their ego. And I hope these young ones aren't going to either. Like Scotty Barnes looks like he's a team player. He's going to do whatever it takes. He doesn't care if he scores 20 points. If he gets 10 rebounds and 5 blocks and doesn't score a point, he's going to be happy. Scotty Barnes will have no problem with not scoring any points and having a Dennis Rodman game. He did that in the summer league. He had a Dennis Rodman game where he got like 5 blocks and a bunch of rebounds, but didn't shoot well. That's the thing. They're flexible. They're going to go flex. That's a new offense that they're going to put in this year that the Australian guy's a master at over in Australia. I'm telling you, this guy won 5 out of the last 7 championships in Australia, this Gleason guy who's coming in. He's just going to add to the winning atmosphere and the winning culture. And we are winners. And this is what 2019 brought. Why can't 2022 bring that? I mean, seriously, we got to believe this, because if we believe, it can happen. It's like anything. If you don't believe something can happen, then it won't happen because you won't work towards it. But if we as the fans get on the same page with the team, which they believe they can do it, and that's all they were talking about. People, the media guys, I hate them, some of them. Michael Grange is the worst. He's asking questions that are like inspiring conflict. Like the one question he asked Fred about like the man, who's the man on the team, and the nuances of that term, the man. It's very insidious why he asks those questions. It's like a tabloid writer or somebody trying to pry a little like conflict in between two players, the way he went about it. And I love the fact that every single guy who took that media stand yesterday, when they got up there, they said, "Hi, Michael." Like they were like pissed. Even Bobby Webster was like that too. They all treated him with disdain because he was like the first guy that got asked questions, because it was Sportsnet doing the press conference and he was their representative. So every time Fred got up there, he's like, "Hi, Mike." It was like everybody was like showing him that disdain, and it was awesome because it's true. Michael Grange is a hack writer, and he'll write whatever he wants about the Raptors just to get interest, even if it's destructive to the team or just fluff bullshit. Michael Grange is just trying to be a controversial guy in the Raptor world. Like, he's not trying to report. He's trying to cause waves sometimes, and I'm glad the players and the organization know that. All right, getting back to Fred. One of the things that happened with Fred in his press conference that was really interesting to me was he was talking about how he's always been a vocal leader on the team. Like, since the Casey days, when Coach Casey was the coach and they had DeMar and Lowry as the two captains kind of guys, they weren't really like vocal captains. Like, Kyle looks like a vocal guy on the court, but back in the dressing room, he's not that vocal as a leader. So Fred has always been kind of the vocal leader already. It's not like he's changing his leadership role this year that much. It's just Kyle's not there to be kind of the figurehead leader, because Fred was always the vocal leader. He's been the vocal leader for like 4 years now. He was the vocal leader when the championship year. So this transition of him being in charge over Lowry is going to be really smooth because he's already been doing it. He's been doing it. He's been that guy already. So whatever. The other thing that was interesting was Fred was talking about his worries about fitting in with the positionless scheme, and that he is worried about being phased out. It's like, if you have all these 6'9" guys that can dribble, what am I going to do? Listen, a player with his dedication and his skill level and his love of the game and what he brings is always going to be welcome on the team, even if we're playing other schemes and different things like that. I think Fred's going to play just as much as always this year, and this isn't going to be something that he should worry about at all. I think he was kind of joking about it a little bit, but he did seem a little sad about it, that possibly because he's, undersized guard, he might not fit in the positionless scheme of the future for the Raptors. But I think he's going to be fine. He's too good, and he's been too loyal, and he's just been too important to the Raptors franchise for the last couple of years that, we want to honor him just like we honored Kyle. Seriously, because he is that kind of like loyalty and important Raptor and stuff like that. So, but yeah, really good to see Fred up there. Fred looking really slick, looking like clone Drake, and with his hair all tight and just like really, really poised and just leader. That's him. And I love how these guys answer these questions about the rankings stuff. I don't care. I'm not looking at that. And then Fred started talking about nuance. There's a nuance to it. Well, that nuance is what I was talking about with the Eastern Conference, like a preview, where there's a lot of nuances in organizations that help you get there. It's not just black and white. There's a lot of other stuff that gets you there. And you need that support of your whole franchise to get you to the top. And, it's going to be exciting. All right, Pascal was interesting. He was saying he'd never had surgery before. This was the first time he had surgery this summer, and that he's more into alternative medicine. Like in Cameroon, they would just find some plant or something and fix things like a very natural, holistic way. But you know what? It seems like he's really healing fast. And they even said it too, Bobby and Nick, that he's going to be back sooner than we think. And I really do think that he may just miss the October games. Like, we start on the 20th, and, by the time we get to November, I think that Pascal's going to be playing like at the beginning of November. Like, he may just miss like preseason and the end of October, the beginning of the regular season, and then he's right back. Like, I seriously don't see him being out that long. He just looks too healthy. And like Nick Nurse said, he's got to get the doctors okay to be getting contact in practice. But he's doing one-on-one drills and stuff like that right now already. And he looks great. Like, honestly, he looks great. And them being happy and recharged and ready is a huge thing. So, all right. Next, Gary Trent Jr. came in. He had a really short interview. He's a weird guy. I like him, and I think he's going to be good for us, but he's a little bit like OG's aloofness and just a little I don't know. You could tell from his interview, though. This is the one thing I got from it, is that he's always wanted to come to Toronto and live here or be here in Toronto, because the stories his dad would tell him about when he played for Toronto. Gary Trent Sr. Would tell him all the stories about the restaurants and things downtown. So to me, as a kid who grew up in Florida but was from Toronto and wanted to live in Toronto like my whole childhood, I wanted to grow up in Toronto. I didn't want to grow up in Tallahassee, but I did. And I can get what Gary's at. Like, well, I want to get here and finally live in the city and see what it's all about, because you know that you've heard good things about it and you want to be there and stuff. So I'm glad Gary's here and he appreciates being in Toronto. And I just really hope that he plays well, so that there's not a lot of extra talk about whether he's earning his contract or not, because that's always a distraction and kind of annoying when a player's underperforming and they're getting paid pretty well. But he was fine. He did a good interview and it was quick, and I don't know, I guess they just didn't have a whole lot to ask him or something, I guess. And then the big interview, wow. And I was blown away by this one. Dragic. When Goran Dragic came out, first of all the other players were wearing their warm-ups, really nice, fresh, bright red Raptor warm-ups. It came out looking like astronauts to me. Like these motherfuckers are about to get on a space shuttle and go up into space. Is how they look to me. Like they look like those kind of heroes. But then Goran came out and he was just wearing his jersey. And it was a very calculated PR thing. Number one, he came out and he was so humble. His body language, the way he was carrying himself, you could tell he was nervous as hell. You could tell he was not totally comfortable, but he did everything right. Like if he was playing Guitar Hero and he had to hit every beat of the song on that interview, he did it perfect, because he said exactly the right things yesterday. And I'm getting to be won over by him because of what he said yesterday. Seriously. All right. First of all, apparently he never even considered wearing number 7 here, because he's friends with Lowry. Like they talk to each other. They're buddies. And Lowry did ask him permission to wear 7 in Miami. And and Goran's like, oh, of course. Kyle Lowry's won a championship. Of course I'm going to let him wear the number in Miami. And then he was like, when he was asked about, well, what about you wearing number 7 here? He's like, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think of it, because I think that Goran realizes that Kyle is to the Toronto Raptors that Dwayne Wade is to the Miami Heat. And he understands that kind of reverence and things like that. Like nobody's coming in there trying to wear number 4 after Dwayne Wade. You know what I'm saying? So why would he try and take the 7 of the greatest Raptor of all time here? He knows that that's just going to get him off on the wrong foot. And he's definitely being diplomatic and apologetic. He apologized again for his interview in Slovenia this summer, where he was, not thrilled about coming here. He apologized for then. And the other stuff that he said that really meant a lot to me. Well, first of all, I just want to talk about the jersey just real quick as an aside. Kyle Lowry's number 7, I think on the down low, is being held by the Raptors franchise as saying, no, you can't wear it. It may not even been Dragic's decision to make, because I noticed something yesterday. When I was researching the people that have wore number 7 for the Raptors, I went and saw number 10. And number 10 was DeMar's number. And nobody – all right. DeMar got traded for Kawhi the summer before we won a championship in 2018. In all that time, not a single Raptor new player has tried to take number 10. Because nobody's worn 10 since DeMar left. And I think that there's an unspoken rule, or the franchise has just decided that when Lowry and DeRozan leave here, their numbers aren't going to be worn again, and they're going to get retired and put up in the roof. And that they've been doing that for DeMar already for like 4 years. Nobody can wear number 10 for them. And I think that on the download, it's the same thing with 7, that nobody's going to be able to wear 7 or 10 until these guys retire and they're up in the rafters. It's just unspoken. They're just not making a big deal out of seeing it. There's no number 10 since DeMar left. And I don't think we'll have a number 7 after Kyle. So, yeah. Oh, and Scotty Barnes is wearing number 4. And I want to make a bold prediction right now that's maybe 20 years too soon. But I think that number 4 is going to get retired for Scotty Barnes. And honestly, I'm glad he's wearing number 4 because that's Chris Bosh's number. And I have issues with Bosh. There's some things I really liked about Bosh, and Bosh was an important part of our franchise history. But he's not one of my favorite Raptors of all time, for sure, and for different reasons, other than just the decision in going with LeBron. But anyway, I got way off sidetrack. Let's get back to Goran Dragic and his press conference yesterday and what he said. He said basically that he's coming to Toronto to be a veteran, to be professional. And I want to nickname him the professional this year because he was sounding with his European accent and his smoothness. And I can see why some ladies are going to be like just blindly devoted to this guy because he's a looker. And they're like, oh, don't boo him. I love him. He's so cute. And his accent and all this stuff. I see why people want to stand up for him. And some women like the bad boy who's really a villain, but he's good looking and stuff like that. That kind of stuff. But anyway, Dragic said, he doesn't care about playing, basically. He doesn't care about anything for himself. He's coming here like Steve Nash was there for him in Phoenix as a mentor and a leader and an older guy. And this is definitely something that he can help with on this team is we don't have a lot of experience. Our experienced guys are still kind of younger. But he said, basically, I just care about teaching the young guys and being a mentor and being a team leader as a vet on the team. And it's not necessarily in play and stuff like that. Like, honestly, I could see Goran sitting on the pine for a lot of games and just being like an older vet on the team that's on our bench, like where he's not in the regular rotation, where he's in like one of the last 3 spots. And we're rotating another 10 guys in and out of the game. And he's at the end just in case, or just as like in practice or like player coach that kind of mentality. I don't think his role is going to be that big for us. If it is, that's great. If he's playing great and he's contributing and he is a part of everything, that's great. But it's also okay if he sits on the bench most of this year and he's just kind of like a mentor on site or just a guy around just to, help the young guys understand NBA life and things like that. Like I said, he said all the right things. He was super humble. I felt bad for him. At one point because he was basically comparing his career to Kyle Lowry's career, and it doesn't measure up. It just doesn't. And, the other vibe I got from Goran during his interview yesterday was that dude on the sly is trying to do a Kawhi this year. Like, he understands this is maybe only a 1-year thing here in Toronto, but he's going to make the best of it. And he saw that Kawhi came here for 1 year, even though he didn't really want to be here, and played 1 year, and he messed around and got a championship. Now, I'm not saying that Goran is the same level player as Kawhi, but why wouldn't he think in his head? Because he's been in the NBA for a long time, and he's seen different kinds of teams and the way teams are built and organizations are built and stuff like that. And he's come in and he's seen this organization. He believes that this team can win a championship, that this team is all about championships. And he can see it because he's a vet that understands what it takes to get really high in teams like that are built like that. He can tell. So I'm sure he's excited himself about the prospect of possibility here in Toronto because he's seen the practices. He's seen the raw potential of Scotty Barnes and him talking about what Precious is possible to do with like that. He's actually a good shooter and then he's going to be really good. This is the thing over and over again. People were asked, what's Precious like? What's Scotty like? Every single time somebody asked, whether it was Pascal, whether it was Goran, whether it was Nick Nurse, these guys all said they're going to be special and they're going to be huge players. They're going to be big players in the NBA. They're going to be that's the thing. The growth and where we're going to go is really dependent on how much these guys elevate us even more, whether it's like making the defense more intense, or rebounding way better, whether it's just like, I love that Pascal said yesterday that he wants people to not want to play us. That when people see us on their schedule, they're like, oh, crap, the Raptors are coming up. We got to go play the Toronto. And they dread it because they know when they're going to play the Raptors, they're going to have to run the whole game. They're going to have these tall guys all over them the whole time. They're going to be battling. It's just going to be scrappy, and it's just not going to be fun for other teams. That's what we want to have, that kind of notoriety around the league, that the other teams just don't want to play us. Because in some way, and like Fred said in his interview, he said, if some teams want to look down on us and think that we're not that good this year and sleep on us, and then we jump in on all over them when they come here and we beat them and win, that's fine. They don't have to believe we're good. They will know we're good when we play them. So I love this. In some ways, when the NBA underestimates us every year, it's like a stealth weapon for us. It helps us in some ways. It's like a dumb thing where they're trying to like not make a big deal out of us or say that, oh, this team's that good. And then all of a sudden we rise up and it's like it's a bonus. It's an advantage in some ways because we're not getting a lot of attention and nobody expects us to. So it's like, oh man, I'm seriously, I thought we were just going to make the playoffs, but after listening to those interviews yesterday, they all want to win a championship, and there's no reason why they can't. There's no reason why they can't. We found out yesterday Bradley Beal's one of the unvaccinated, and like there's going to be headaches for the number one guy on the Washington Wizards. So it's like more and more these problem guys are going to be popping up on these teams as the season comes up, and I don't know how they're going to fix it. They may just let everybody play and just like be we don't care. I'm not really that upset or feel like that is important. I mean, already I'm hearing that Canada is going to make a public interest clause to allow unvaccinated players to cross the border and play against the Raptors still, which is kind of an ironic name for it. But they're going to bend over backwards to try and get these like big guys to be able to be playing. So, but Media Day was a lot of fun yesterday. It was so cool to see these guys come in and see how polished Pascal and Fred were. Hear Goran say all the right things yesterday. Nick Nurse is just as giddy as a kid the day before Christmas with like all the new toys and just the things that he has no idea how good they could be. Like he's thinking right now in the present, but he bases it in reality. And when he sees the reality in practice, and he sees what he can possibly do with his basketball philosophies, with his new tools and new players, then, the possibilities are endless. Most teams in the NBA have a ceiling. Like you can look at their team and there's a ceiling of something. There's no ceiling for us. There really isn't. There is no ceiling. Normally I can say, yeah, this team will do this well. You can't get any better than this probably as a team. But this team could be a 60-team win, like season. Seriously, 60 wins this year. And people may think I'm crazy, but if they're coming at every single game as a battle and just win that one at a time, and they just start stacking the wins over and over again, it could be like that by the end of the season, and everybody will just be like the Raptors are the best team in the league. We know it. We know it because they play the best. They have the best talent. They have this length and size and defense that's unheard of in the history of the NBA. Like as far as having that athleticism and quickness with the size and all that, oh man, I'm telling you, the recipes are all here for a great batch of gumbo this year. We got all the right things going on the stove right now, and when it's ready next week, it's gonna be tasting real good to Raptor fans. The ingredients in the stew are yummy this year. They're gonna be so good and so much fun to watch. And the other thing that I noticed yesterday that was really interesting was almost every single interview, except for like guys like Gary Trent and Goran Dragic, who have no perspective with this, about being back in Toronto, emotional. Like you could see these guys tearing up when they're talking about it. Pascal, Fred, Nick Nurse, Bobby Webster, all of them talking about being here and the vibe and feeling it. And the game day feel Nick Nurse gets when he's in Toronto. And the buzz, because the city knows, and they're like, ooh. And he said he came back to the Air Canada Center after 18 months away, and all of his stuff was exactly where it was in his office. And he went into his office, and his blue suit coat was in the closet, and it had dust on the shoulders, and everything was exactly how he left it. But he was like, he felt like, oh, this is good, and this is where we're back. That I'm telling you, those creature comforts of being at home. And that routine and seeing the same people that you saw before, like coming in, like support staff and stuff like that, that's huge because it makes you feel like connected and part of your community. And they're going to, man, the sky's the limit for us, and we're going to be really good. And I don't understand how anybody could put them so low in the power rankings at this point. Like, I don't trust these basketball experts. I really don't, because I think that they're directed by the NBA to have certain narratives that they want to push. Like, whether it's we want Philly to be shoved down everybody's throats, or Boston shoved down everybody's throats. It's probably going to be Miami this year. They're going to shove Miami down everybody's throats because of their star power, and they may be the most functional top Eastern team other than us. So one more thing, real quick, before I wrap up this Raptors Media Day wrap up. It was really cool. They did a drawing contest, drawing the Drake owl with all the players. OG's owl was wild. All right. It looked like a cross between that owl that was in the Tootsie Pop commercial, like from the 70s, lick the Tootsie Pop, and like some sort of Dali surrealist painting. It was really good. But Pascal and Goran, man, they did some really good OVO owl drawings. I love that they do that kind of fun stuff with the team, and that they share it with the fans and stuff like that. Check that out if you can. Go online and find the owl drawings of the Raptors trying to draw the Drake owl. Some of the drawings are pretty bad, but some of them are pretty good, and that's cool. And then them taking their pictures in the arena with the lights and everything, pretty epic, like great pictures. And just media day is just a fun day, because it really is like the first day back to school in some ways, and it becomes real to the players that, like, okay, we're just about to start this. And any of the players that have been through media day other years, they understand the cycle, and they understand that this is when we get to work, and we get into training camp, and we really start like getting ready for game time situations and real things and stuff like that. So, man, media day basically just made me believe more that the Raptors are going for their second championship this year. Whether they get it or not, they're going to damn for sure going to try, because these guys just want to win. Whether it's Trevor Gleeson wanting to win Australian championships over and over again, now coming here to help us win championships. What is Nick Nurse, who's opening the possibilities of potential just sprouting up in front of him, and using that to infuse into his offense on the fly to make us better and better as the year goes on. Whether it's Scotty Barnes, who says, I'm a winner and I want to win. That's all I care about. Fred VanVleet, I'm a winner. I just want to win. That's all I care about. Pascal Siakam, we're just here to win. I don't care about myself. I'm here to win. This is the thread that is common throughout this whole organization. And people shouldn't take it lightly, because in most organizations, there's guys that are like, oh, I'm here for myself, or I'm here for my money, or I'm here just because I'm in the NBA and I'm just floating through life. No, these guys are very serious directives and goals and things that they want to accomplish this year. And they will, because they're set up to succeed in all kinds of ways, whether it's being home again, whether it's having a whole rested summer without having to play in the playoffs and all that stuff, whether it's just having these brand new players on the team that we have no idea what their potential is and where they could grow. These are all huge things that could add up to a second championship. Like, seriously. I mean, I'm not joking around. Things happen during the season with, Brooklyn and Kyrie. Things happen with Ben Simmons in Philadelphia. Boston's not what Boston usually is. The path could be there. And like Fred said, you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. And that's the thing. Anything can happen. And if you predispose yourself to winning, and you have the attitude of winning, the culture of winning, and winners on your team, you will win. And I just love the basketball theory part of it. Like, the fact that Nick Nurse is such a student of the game and loves the game so much. And he's in a position where he has some of the best tools, best players to mess around with and try stuff out. He could be a real innovator this year with the NBA and like how it's played in the future by what he does this year, because he is a trendsetter. He's not a copycat. We aren't a copycat team like these other teams in the league. We set the trends, we set the standards, and we show the way. And we're going to do a whole new level of that this year. And it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. I really hope that if you live in Toronto and you're able to come to the games, come to the games and get loud with me and be loud every time the other team has the ball. And we may only boo Dragic initially now. Like, honestly, I feel I like the guy now and I want him to succeed. I don't necessarily want him on our team for a long time, but if he's going to be buddies with Scotty Barnes and help him learn as a rookie, and he's going to not take away from the rest of the team, he's just going to give to the team, I'm all for him being around because he can be very useful, whether it's in situations where we need experience in the game for a situation, or it's just for something for defense or his shooting. We may need his shooting this year in certain situations. If Malachi's not hitting his shot, Goran maybe, and then he gets more of the backup guard minutes. So my expectations for this season just went up after yesterday because Nick Nurse has painted the picture of how we can do it. It's all reliant on the potential of these guys and how quickly they learn the system and how airtight our defense gets and how nasty it gets. We win rebounding battles. We win defensive battles against other teams, locking them down. We're going to win a championship because that's how championships are won. They're not won by James Harden and Dame Lillard scoring three-pointers like crazy. They're won by locking the other team down, controlling the other team, and then scoring on your own and winning. Oh, man. Ooh, that stew's going to taste so good, y'all. I smell it on the oven right now. I really do. All right. There's only 6 more days till the first preseason game, Philadelphia. Have a great Tuesday, everybody, and be proud and happy that you're a Raptor fan because it's going to get really fun soon. It's going to get really fun. I'm not even lying. I mean, I had so much fun during the Carter years and working in the building. I feel like I'm going to have more fun in the Barnes years. That these are just going to be fun because this is the thing. Carter, as for all of his athleticism and everything that he was great, he didn't have that. He wasn't the winner. He wasn't a winner. Like that attitude in his head, Scotty's got it. That's the difference. If you have the talent and that killer Kobe winning mentality, look out. Look out. Ooh, that stew. Smells so good. It smells so good. You can get a taste.